So in this video, I want to talk about slime again, as this is a series that I really do love. And with the recent episodes coming out, there's a lot of interesting little things that I want to discuss about. Of course, I've got my volume 11 review coming out at some point in the future. And there's some things that I'm going to discuss in there that kind of do entail stuff to do with this as well, especially with season 3. And just kind of looking at how the anime is presented, how the light novels are presented, and me kind of reflecting on sort of reading the light novels a lot. And I've reread one of the volumes as well, so it's kind of going through them and kind of understanding what makes me enjoy the light novels and what makes me enjoy the anime and the highs and the lows. Because for me, as a content creator, one of the things that I always strive to do is look at the positives and the negatives. I try to be unbiased when I come to my opinions, which is probably one of the reasons why some of the slime community doesn't like me, because I'm not whitewashing or completely praising it like it's the best thing since sliced bread, because every anime, every series has its goods and its bads, its strengths and weaknesses, and that also comes down to individuals' personal opinions, tastes in series, etc, etc. But that's one of the things that I love about slime. I love the world, I love the characters, I love the talking, the table episodes, even if I do have some criticisms when it comes to season 2's recapping that I said that I didn't really feel was necessary, but then some light novel fans shared my video around taking me out of context because they couldn't read a title correctly, which is one of the most ironic things about the slime community, especially some in the light novel community on the subreddit. They criticize people for only wanting mindless action and not reading and world building, but they themselves can't even read a title properly or can't even watch the first couple of minutes of a video to understand the context of things, because of course their reading comprehension skills are really up to snuff and they totally didn't just get information from the wiki or from a text-to-speech bot on YouTube. So it's one of the reasons why I don't take some parts of the slime community serious. Let's be real here. They're a special bunch. It's fun to rile them up. Why? Because they're like children in a playground. You just let them trip over their own silliness. But looking at the recent episodes, I really love how things went for this like 6 episodes of table talking and the amount of memes that we got out of it. Like, that was top quality meme content, and then we went straight into some high good action, and I'm absolutely loving it. But I have seen some criticisms from fans that have been very, very defensive about the table episodes, saying that it's really crucial, and now some of them are like, hey, you're going through the action scenes really quickly, and some of them getting concerned, which, if I was to play devil's advocate, I kind of saw this coming. And again, it depends on how you want to see it. Some people will go, hey, you know, it's not going that fast, it's going pretty well. But let's say for their benefit, we go based on what they're saying, that these action episodes are going a lot faster. You also got to realize that they've probably put most of the budget into these high action short scenes and trying to get like as much good quality out of it. And then a lot of the table episodes are kind of like, the way I see it is like a visual novel. There's a lot of talking, a lot of back and forth, and you've got to kind of fill in the gaps. But the only thing is when I read the light novels, I don't see images, so I just picture everything in my own head. And that's something that I talk about in my volume 12 review, is that when I'm reading something and there's no images, so it's not animated or anything, I'm reading a book that I'm imagining everything they're talking about. So if they're talking about Veldora going nuts, I can imagine that in my head. But in an anime format, sometimes they'll only show maybe one still shot image, or they won't show anything, and then they'll just be talking. And so your brain doesn't really create as much of an imaginary scene, because the anime is sort of fulfilling that slot. Which is why I do think, you know, if you could give any criticism, maybe they could have added a little bit more flashiness in the table talking, where they try and show what they're talking about a little bit more. But that can be kind of hard as well, because a lot of the times it's unnecessary. Again, I'm just weighing up the positives and the negatives. My overall thoughts is that those table talkings are something that's kind of par for the course when it comes to slime, and I think some slime fans kind of went into season 1 where it wasn't as much table talking, and then went into season 2 with a little bit of whiplash, being like, hey, there's a lot of talking in this. And then they didn't realize that's kind of the core aspect of slime. There's a lot of politics in slime, and I mean a lot of politics, which isn't a bad thing. I'm just noting on it. And this is the thing that slime fans need to get through their thick skull. Noting on something is not criticizing something. And that's the biggest issue I think that's been with season 3, is that people have just been going, hey, There's a lot of table talking, and straight away some go in there and go, oh, but you don't understand, it's really important, you need, and then their heads pop off, they explode. But the reality is people just going, hey, there's a lot of talking, that's fine, I enjoy it. But that isn't good enough. You're not allowed to note on it. It's like a forbidden thing to talk about, because they themselves are noting by freaking out that they know that there's a lot. That's just Slime in a nutshell. And if you don't like a lot of politics and talking, then Slime may not be the series for you. You might want to move on to something else. But I've seen that same criticism for Moonlit Fantasy as well with Season 2. Because Season 2 for Moonlit Fantasy has been a lot of talking, a lot of politics, a lot of maneuvering the chess pieces. And so I've been seeing those criticisms, so I've been kind of pointing out this sort of the whole situation of like, hey, these are isekais with a lot of world building, a lot of trading, politics, maneuvering, chess piece kind of mind games kind of situation. While a lot of people will then also compare to, say, like Mushoku Tensei, and they're like, oh, but Mushoku Tensei doesn't have this problem. But actually it does, actually. And that's the funny thing, is a lot of fans will say Mushoku Tensei doesn't have this problem. It does, actually, because I've seen the same criticisms of people saying, this is boring, they're all in the same location, it's too lovey-dovey romancy. And that's the thing that's so funny about the anime community, is where some fans will say this is a bad thing for one series and then say it's not for another series, but it's actually in both of the series. It's just how they're presented in a slightly different way, a slightly different flavor. And so some people have their preferences on how they want that same thing presented. It's like it's like going into ice cream and you got your 3 different flavors. The end of the day, it's still ice cream, but it's just slightly flavored different. If you kind of get what I'm kind of getting at there. So it's just one of those I think people need to understand when it comes to isekai power fantasies like these. There is going to be a lot of world building, and I think it's important. You look at Feiren or Frieren. I say it both because I get yelled at no matter what I say. But that also had a lot of talking, a lot of world building. But I didn't see as much criticism on that. But I also think the reason for that is because that series filtered people out very quickly. Like, a lot of people got filtered out that weren't as interested in it by episode 3, because they did all 3 episodes in one go. So people were just filtered out that didn't care about it. If you couldn't put up with that for 3 episodes all in one go, they moved on to the next series pretty quickly. So it's one of those you've got to be mindful of when it comes to isekais and world building. I look forward to the future episodes for Slime. Honestly, my only criticism was that I wanted all this stuff to happen in Season 2 because I was so excited about this big fight scene, because, surprise, surprise, I do read the light novels, and I have. It's just I hadn't uploaded them for like several years, so I'm now getting them out because it's that time of the year. So if you do want to support my channel, go check out my light novel reviews. I've got them out. I've got volume 12 or something? Yeah, 12 coming out soon, so I'm going to continue reading them as long as people keep finding them interesting. Super excited to see how much they cover in Season 3, because they are going much more slower paced compared to like other seasons where they had to do a bit of backtracking. And I think that's one of the things that made Season 1 and Season 2 a little bit weirder and a little bit different, was because Season 1 went a little bit more faster pace, and then Season 2 had to backtrack a little bit, and then it started slowing down into its normal pacing of politics, action, politics, action, politics, action. Because that's what Slime kind of is. It's like a roller coaster. You have your going up and it's a lot of talking, and then it goes down and it's a lot of action. And back, forward. And that's something you've got to get used to. If you don't like a lot of talking, you're in for a rough ride. And at the end of the day, that's fine. If you don't want that kind of stuff, plenty of other animes out there. I'm not the kind of person that's going to sit there and belittle you for not liking something. If that's not what you're into, there are plenty of other options out there, and I have many other options to point out for those that might be interested, because I have my reviews and all that kind of stuff on other series as well. But hating on people for not wanting that kind of series is not helpful to the community. It just makes you look toxic. Just recommend something that some people will like. You don't need to insult them. You don't need to belittle them. Everyone has their own likes and dislikes. But super loving the fight scene. One thing I want to note on is how they're doing the action scenes and the sort of the animations. They're very polished, very well done. I'm absolutely loving the way they've gone about, particularly the fight scene between our two little rivals, little love nests. I say that in a joking matter because some people get where the story is going in the future. But the way they've done that fight scene, the way they've got Rimuru's mind little clock thing, I keep forgetting what to call it, but it's little CPU AI thing in its head, that thing, and the way they flip between the two, the communication, the fight scenes, the positioning, it's just so well done. And even the voice acting is really well good as well, and like the animosity and the hatred from the other saints as well, and the way they've kind of portrayed it, like new monsters kind of attitude. And then you've got a certain little chef herself, and the smile, the confidence, the way she's kind of like getting down on her knees saying, you know, I'm just doing what Rimuru tells me to do. I don't want to fight you, but I'm just going to show my overall dominance. And the way they're going about that, those little moments, the way she flips up in the air, the way she cuts things in half, she reflects attacks, she flicks like a stone. It's so well done, every little finite detail. And that's why I do think that some of these like table episodes are their way of like making the budget very low on those episodes, and then they put all the effort, all the budget into the good action scenes, which again, some may like that, some may not like that. Again, it all comes down to personal taste, but it also comes down to another factor of like, if you were to rewatch season 3, and this is a question I'd love to ask everyone, every individual person watching this video that does want to answer this question, if you were to rewatch season 3, would you rewatch the table talking, or would you just skip it and go straight to the action scenes, or would you be okay rewatching those same long discussions at the table, negotiations, world building, politics? Would you be happy to rewatch it again, a second, third, fourth, fifth time, or would you skip it? That's the question I want to ask, because depending on that answer depends on you understanding why some people may not like the table talking as much. Because some may see it as, sure, watch it the first time, you get the world building, but hey, I want to watch this anime a second time. Well, I already know what they're going to talk about, I just want to get to the fun stuff. That kind of mindset. Again, you got to understand from a light novel and an anime perspective, because they're very different products, and that's something that I talk about in my Volume 12 review. An anime and a light novel are very different, because one shows you the animations, the other one has you creating the animations in your head. Or at least for me, I do that. When I'm reading something, I imagine what I'm reading. Sometimes your imagination can be far better than anything possibly animated. And that's not an insult to animators, by the way. I'm just saying that the human mind, your imagination can be far more crazier and far more expressive than anything you can imagine. So it's something to be mindful of. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts about Slime Season 3 so far? The goods, the bads, the uglies. Rile them up. Get them all razzed up. I love Slime. Looking forward to more episodes. Looking forward to seeing how all of this plays out, even though I know what's going to happen. But seeing it animated, it's going to be fun nonetheless. So again, if you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.